$5 million. The biggest top prize Deal or No Deal had ever offered, and standing at the podium was a high school football coach who brought his entire team to the studio. He played the game like he coached aggressive, fearless, and always pushing for the next play. But when the $5 million vanished and the clock was ticking, did the coach know when to take a knee? The answer will shock you. Jeff Huerta is a high school football coach, a special education teacher, and a family man with 3 kids whose ages all add up to 25.
I'm a family man, 3 kids.
He walked onto the Deal or No Deal stage not alone, but with his entire football team sitting behind him. In the audience, rows and rows of players in their team gear, suited up and ready to cheer like it was Friday night under the stadium lights. Jeff had a bald head just like Howie, same barber, as he put it, and the kind of energy that fills a locker room before a championship game. He wanted to win money for his family, absolutely. But he also wanted to buy new equipment, new uniforms, and new weights for his football program. These were kids who needed gear, and their coach was going to try to get it for them on national television. But this wasn't any ordinary night. This was premiere week on Deal or No Deal, and the show had been doing something unprecedented all week. The first player had played for $1 million. The second played for $2 million. The third for $3 million. The fourth, Kimberly Chastain, who had just left with a record-breaking $701,000, played for $4 million. Jeff was the 5th player of Premiere Week. And when Howie revealed the top prize, the entire studio erupted. $5 million. The biggest prize the show had ever offered. The board went from 1 penny all the way up to $5 million, with 3 7-figure amounts in play. $1 million, $2.5 million, and $5 million. Jeff picked case 25. His 3 kids' ages all added up to 25. He held the case up and pointed to his team in the audience. Then he dropped into his coaching stance, set the case on the podium like a football on the line of scrimmage, and the biggest game in Deal or No Deal history was officially underway. Jeff's opening round was flawless. 6 cases opened, cases 6, 14, 10, 21, 13, and 9, and every single one held a small amount. Not a single big number was touched. The million was there, the $2.5 million was there, the $5 million was there, 750, 500,000, everything was intact. It was the kind of first round that makes a coach pump his fist on the sideline. The team was going wild in the audience. Jeff's wife Krista was beaming. His coaching colleague Neil was on his feet. The banker made the first call, $30,000. Jeff looked at that number the way a coach looks at a losing playbook. $30,000 is a lot of money, he admitted. But let's hear it. His team roared, "No deal!"
So, Jeff Huerta.
And just like that, Coach Huerta was running his offense downfield. No deal. 5 cases to open. And the first one was a gift case 15, held just 1 penny. The crowd erupted. 1 penny off the board is the absolute best case you can open. But then the pendulum swung hard. Case 2 revealed $1 million. Gone. One of the 3 7-figure amounts eliminated. The team went quiet for a moment, but Jeff bounced back quickly. There were still 2 massive amounts left. Then came case 23, $750,000, wiped off the board, and case 5, $500,000 gone too. In a single round, Jeff had lost the million, the 750, and the 500,000. 3 enormous amounts in 5 cases. The board was bleeding, but the 2 biggest prizes, $2.5 million and $5 million, were both still alive. Those 2 numbers were now carrying the entire game on their massive shoulders. The banker offered $56,000. Jeff's coaching colleague Neil crunched the numbers. $56,000 will buy us a ton of weights at $1 a pound. But brother, you've got 2 big numbers up there. No deal. The whole team chanted no deal. Jeff agreed this was only half-time. The game wasn't over. 4 cases to open. Jeff needed to protect those 2 7-figure amounts at all costs. Cases 3, 12, 1, and 1 more opened, and while some mid-range amounts left the board, the critical numbers survived. The $2.5 million and the $5 million were both still shining on that board. 11 cases remained, and 2 of them held 7 figures. The odds were strong. The banker's offer more than doubled, $113,000. The team went crazy. Jeff's wife was calculating. His best friend Rick was urging him on, but Jeff had seen enough film to know the odds. 3 cases to open, 2 giant amounts left. The risk was worth the reward. No deal, he said, getting into his linebacker stance. Forget about it. 3 cases to open, and this is where the game delivered its most devastating blow. Cases 16 and 22 opened first, both safe, both small amounts, clearing the board without touching anything important. 2 for 2. The $2.5 million and the $5 million were still alive. One more case to go. Jeff picked case 11. He dropped low, got into his coaching stance, and stared at the stage like he was reading a defensive formation. Katie held the case. The tension was unbearable. Every person in that audience, every player, every coach, every family member was holding their breath. Katie opened the case. $5 million, the single biggest prize in Deal or No Deal history, was gone. Eliminated. The number that had made this premiere week legendary, the number that had the entire country watching, was sitting in case 11 the whole time. The crowd let out a collective gasp that echoed through the studio. Jeff's smile disappeared. His wife Krista covered her mouth with both hands. The team behind him went from a roar to absolute silence in a single heartbeat. The $5 million was gone. But here's the thing about Coach Jeff Huerta. He doesn't quit when the score goes against him. $2.5 million was still in play, and that number alone was enough to change everything. The banker offered $71,000, a sharp drop from $113,000. The banker was sensing that Jeff was wounded, and the offer reflected it. Jeff's wife looked at him with genuine concern and said, "I say you take it." But another voice from the team cut through the noise. "You can't. Not with $2.5 million still out there. There's no way." Jeff looked at his wife, he looked at his team, and he chose to keep coaching. No deal. 2 cases to open. Each one was either a landmine or a lifeline. There was no middle ground anymore. Case 8 opened first. Lauren held it. Jeff was pacing back and forth like he did on the sidelines during a close game. He told Howie he actually had to have a kid hold onto the back of his pants during real games because he moved around so much. Lauren opened the case, small amount. The crowd exhaled. The $2.5 million survived. One more case to go. Case 20. Jeff could barely bring himself to look. He turned his back to the stage, faced his team in the audience, and said, "I'm just going to watch their faces to know what happened." The case opened. The team erupted into cheers. It wasn't $2.5 million. Jeff didn't even need to see the board. His players' faces told him everything. He pumped his fist and screamed. The $2.5 million had survived 2 more rounds, and the dream was still breathing. The banker offered $107,000. Jeff sat down with his team and analyzed the situation, like he was breaking down film in the coach's office. He said something remarkable, something that proved this man had done his homework. "I've watched Deal or No Deal," he told Howie. "I saw people like who played it well, who knew when to take chances and when not to. And I saw a lot of other people who got to a point where they probably should have stopped, and they didn't, and things went bad for them. Would you have taken the $107,000 right there? Or would you have kept chasing the $2.5 million sitting somewhere in those remaining cases?" Jeff looked at his team, he looked at his wife, and the aggressive coach made one more aggressive call. No deal, one more play, 1 case to open, case 4. Lindsay held it. This was it, the most important play of Coach Huerta's career. If case 4 held the $2.5 million, the game was essentially over, and Jeff would be kicking himself for not taking $107,000. If it didn't, the offer would climb dramatically, and Jeff would be in position for the biggest payday of his life. Jeff dropped into his linebacker stance one more time. Lindsay opened the case. Small amount, the $2.5 million was still alive. The team was on their feet, screaming, hugging each other, jumping up and down like they'd just won the state championship. The banker called $177,000. Jeff sat with his team and his family. He talked through the decision out loud like a coach in the huddle. "I'm an aggressive coach. Last round, I made the aggressive play and it paid off. But if you go for it every single down, it's going to come back and bite you. A good coach knows when to take a knee." And Coach Jeff Huerta, the man who had been saying no deal all night long, pressed the button. Deal. $177,000. And then came the moment that proved Jeff Huerta was the smartest coach in the room. Howie asked Jeff what his next case choice would have been if he'd said no deal. Jeff said case 18. They opened it. $2.5 million. He took the deal at the exact right moment. 1 round too late, and he would have gone home with almost nothing. 1 round too early, and he would have left money on the table. He hit it perfectly. So here's my question. Would you have taken the $177,000, or would you have pushed 1 more round and hit the $2.5 million landmine? Jeff said it best. If you go for it every single down, it'll come back and bite you. Did the coach make the right call? Drop your answer in the comments. See you in the next one.